Hello again, students. Today we're going to continue our probability unit with and, or. So first, some definitions. When you are determining the probability of a single event occurring, the use of and or can change the likelihood of an event happening. So we're going to look at standard probability, probability with or, and probability with and. So let's start with the basic standard probability. So I have a spinner to the right. We're going to use that as our focal point for all these questions on this page. What is the probability of selecting an odd number? So I look at the spinner. 1, 3, and 5 are odd numbers. So there are a total of 3 odd numbers and a grand total of 6 total outcomes, or 6 numbers. 3 out of 6, that's 1/2. Probability of selecting a factor of 14. 1 is a factor of 14. 2 is a factor of 14. That's 2 out of 6, or 1/3. That's the basics. We all should all know that. Probability with or. You add that together. And I'm going to show you what I mean in just a moment here. So what is the probability of selecting a red sector or a multiple of 2? You have to look for all the red sectors and all the multiples of 2 and add those together to determine the probability. So I look here at the board and we have 1 red sector, and multiples of 2 we have 2, 4, and 6. So we have a total of 4 sectors, 1, 2, 4, and 6. 4 out of 6 reduces down to 2/3. What is the probability of selecting a 3 or a prime number? Well, there's 1 3 on the board, and prime numbers 2, 3, and 5 are prime. So now this one's a little interesting, and I'm going to show you why in a second. It's because there's 1 3 on the board, and there's a 2, 3, and a 5. However, you only count that 3 once. So 2, 3, and 5 are the numbers we're looking at here. That would be 3 out of 6, or 1/2. Probability with and must be both. So in that last example, 3 is both a prime number and a number 3, which was what I was asking for last time. So that would have worked for and. And must be both. And I'll show you a couple examples here. What is the probability of selecting an odd number and a composite number? So I look at all the odd numbers on the spinner, 1, 3, and 5. And of those 3 numbers, 1, 3, and 5, which one or which ones are composite is what I'm looking for. Well, to be honest with you, none of those 3 numbers are composite, so it would be a 0 out of 6 probability. This is an impossible event. What is the probability of selecting a prime number and a factor of 8? So I look at all the prime numbers on the board, 2, 3, and 5. Of those numbers, 2, 3, and 5, which ones are also a factor of 8? 2 is the only one of the 3 that is also a factor of 8. That would be a 1 out of 6 probability. So now I'm going to quiz you. In the upper right corner we have a bunch of smiley faces of different colors. Green, blue, purple, yellow, and red. We'll have to look at those throughout. So my first question, what's the probability of selecting a blue smiley face? This is a quiz, so try your best. What's the probability of selecting a blue smiley face? And of course, pause after each question, and then you can answer it on your own time. The probability of selecting a blue smiley face, we have 3 blue smiley faces, and we have a total out of 17. That cannot be reduced. 3 out of 17 is the answer. What is the probability of selecting a red or green smiley face? So once again, try these on your own. You can pause each time. All right, probability of selecting a red or a green. Well, we have 3 red smiley faces, and we have 1 green, so that is 4 out of 17. Next, what is the probability of selecting a blue or yellow smiley face? We have 3 blue smiley faces, and we have 5 yellow smiley faces, so we have to add those together, and that would be an 8 out of 17 probability. What is the probability of selecting a purple smiley face? There are 5 purples, and once again, a total out of 17, 5 out of 17 probability. What is the probability of selecting a yellow or red? Well, there are 3 red smiley faces, and there are 5 yellows. That would be also an 8 out of 17. Hopefully you're getting the hang of this. This one should be pretty common knowledge. Probability of selecting a green smiley face, 1 out of 17. And lastly, the probability of selecting a green, blue, or red smiley face. 1 green, 3 blue, 3 red. 3 plus 3 plus 1, 7 out of 17. Let's do another one. I have some numbers to the right. You'll be utilizing those for the next batch of questions. Once again, pause the tape after each question. All right. Question number 1. What is the probability of selecting a prime number? Well, I look at this list here, and 2 is prime, 3 is prime, 5 is prime, 7, 17, and that's all of them. But notice I have 2 number 2, so you'll have to count it for 2. So that's 6 out of 18, or 1/3. Once again, the 2's, 3, 5, 17, and which one am I missing here? And the 7. I forgot about the 7. Well, I thought I made a mistake for a second. So 2, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 17 are the primes. Okay, whoopsie daisy. What is the probability of selecting an even and a prime? So once again, this time, it must be both. It must be both even, and it must be prime. And if I look at this list to the right here, and I could look at a list of every number from 0 to infinity, and the only even prime number is 2. And I have 2 of them on the board here, so I have 2 chances of selecting it out of 18. 2 18ths reduces down to 1/9. Okay, the next one. What is the probability of selecting a factor of 20 or 3? Well, the factors of 20 would be 2, 2, 5, 10, and 20, and there's 1 3 on the board. So the probability of this occurring would be 6 out of 18, or 1/3. What is the probability of selecting an odd number and a multiple of 3? Must be both, because and is used. Well, the odd numbers and the multiples of 3. Well, I'm going to scan through. 3 would work. 5 is odd, but 5 is not a multiple of 3, so it wouldn't work. 9 would work. 12 is a multiple of 3, but it is not odd. 15 would work. And 21 would work, for a total of 5 out of 18. By the way, if you hear a chirping, there is a cricket in my living room. Kind of surprising, since we've been having 20-degree weather in the month of April, but yes, there is a cricket in my living room. Looking for it for a few days, can't find it. Probability of selecting a perfect square or an odd number. So it's or, so I'm going to add them together. So perfect squares, I'm scanning through, not a lot of them. 9's a perfect square, so I have 2 right there. And that's the only perfect square of the bunch. Or an odd, so I'm going to add those. So 3, 5, 7, I've already counted the 9s. 15, 17, 21. And I get 8 out of 18 divided by 2, 4 9. Next, probability of selecting a composite number and a multiple of 2. So once again, must be both. The composite numbers would be 8, 10, well, I guess 9 would be composite, but it's not a multiple of 2. So we have 8, 10, 12, there's two 12s, 18, 20, 22, for a total of 8 once again, 8 out of 18, or 4 ninths. And lastly, what is the probability of selecting a factor of 100 and an even number? So my factors of 100 would be 2, 5, 10, 20. And all of those are even, so they are both. And that would be 4 out of 18, or 2 ninths. Hopefully this quiz cleared some things up. Hopefully it helped you. Best of luck to you on your probability journey. We'll see you next time.